Hi, I'm Kathy Dodson.
And I'm Jocelyn Lindsay. Welcome to another episode of 5 Minute Indie Insights, publishing tips and tricks in 5 minutes. Because if we don't cut ourselves short on this topic, especially, we could keep talking for hours.
That's right. Today we're going to keep talking about publishing, but we're going to focus on the pros and cons of publishing. But we're going to focus this time on indie or self-publishing. So we're going to go back through some of the things we looked at with traditional publishing. With indie publishing, let's talk about control. The pro. You control everything. You control the content, the cover, the timing, the marketing, and the quality of the publication.
The con of indie publishing is you control everything and you may not know what you're doing. There's a lot to indie publishing and it is all up to you now.
Yep, it's definitely a learning curve. Um, so let's talk now about distribution. The pro is you get to decide where you want your book to be. And we'll talk in the future about, being exclusive or going wide, all the different things that you can do, but it's your decision where you want that book to be.
Yeah, and the con of distribution is that you may get into some bookstores, but you have to make that happen. You have to approach the bookstores and you have to convince them that they should be carrying your book.
That's right. So let's talk about publishing, the like physical act of publishing. Again, you control the publishing process. You get to decide everything about it.
Yeah, and again, you control the publishing process. That can also be a con because controlling this process has a steep learning curve. It gets easier with each book you write, but in the beginning, there is a lot to learn, and you pay all the expenses up front. You have to ensure that your book has a high quality, or you risk hurting your reputation.
And I totally agree with all of that. But I love that you said it does get easier. My first book, it was so scary to do all the publishing myself. But by the third one, it was just like old hat, and I really figured out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah,
So it does get much, much easier.
yeah.
So beyond the publishing, the timing. Now, if you'll remember, this was a big con for traditional publishing. And of course, it's a big pro for indie publishing, not just because you can do it faster, but because you can publish your book on your schedule. If you're ready to go tomorrow, great. If you want to wait until Christmas because you have a Christmas theme, great. Or if you want to go on vacation first and then publish, it's your decision. And that really gives you not just control, but freedom.
Yeah. And again, you can publish your book before it's even ready. So one of the cons of self-publishing is timing because your book may not be ready and you can just hit that button and you can publish it tomorrow.
That's true. Now let's talk about marketing. Now I'm sure you realize there's a learning curve on marketing, as with anything. But there's a huge pro here, and that's that, a traditional publisher, they've got a window for your book, they throw it out there, and then, they're on to the next thing, right? But if you're doing it yourself, you can say, oh, this isn't working. You can go in there and adjust your book's blurb, the categories, the keywords, your marketing, anything. And you can keep it going for as long as you're interested in doing so. You're able to implement strategies to move the needle on sales, and that's huge. And you don't have the ability to do that if you don't control your book.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best marketing is one of the best pros about self-publishing. But the con of this is that the learning curve can be steep and you've got to pay for all of this out of pocket. You can market your book for 20 years. You're paying for it for 20 years.
Yeah, he's just getting it to pay you back.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another thing you've got is editing, right? You can hire the people you need wherever you are in the process. If you need a developmental editor, if you need a proofreader, You decide that, you know, go out into the marketplace and figure out what you're gonna pay, and again, you're controlling it.
Yeah, and I think one of the cons with editing is that, again, you're paying for the editing. If you decide to go through a developmental editor 6 times, you're paying for each of those times. Um, and I think one of the other cons is that sometimes, w we don't think we need editing when we do, and it's really important to ensure, again, like we said, it's really important to ensure that you have high quality with your books. So you want to make sure you are getting enough editing. Just know you're going to have to pay for it.
Absolutely. So now let's talk money. Your royalties on your indie published books can be 70% or more. It depends on if it's an ebook or a paperback. You know, it can really vary. But here's the important thing. Not only do you make more off of each book, you have a greater chance of long-term profits because you can keep marketing your book. There's nothing to say that it has to disappear after
Right.
6 months. You can still go out and find an audience for it. Super important and a big upside of indie publishing.
Yeah, exactly. And the con, you're going to sense a theme here, money. Um, the expenses are upfront and out of pocket. As long as you have the money to keep affording to do what you want to do with your book, you can keep doing it. You just want to make sure you have enough money to do all the things that you want to do.
Yep. Now, one thing that we haven't talked about really, because we've set it up as traditional and self-publishing, is there's this whole other sector in between called hybrid publishing, which is a range of services that you know is really between where your traditional publishing is and your indie publishing. You may pay them for certain services. They may pay you not as much. So there's a lot of choice out there.
Mhm.
It is up to you to decide which path is best for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices. Um, whew, yeah. I think that's enough probably for this episode because again, we could go on. We were talking about this, we could keep talking about each of these topics for, at least 5 minutes. But we have to end it somewhere. So if you're a subscriber, thank you so much for being here. It helps us to know we're not just shouting into the void. And for now, we need to get back to our writing, and you need to get back to yours too. So we will see you on the next episode.
See you next
Bye.
time.